If we hit 1,000 subscribers, I have a surprise gift waiting just for you. So, hit subscribe now. My name is Claire, and I want to tell you about the day my sister decided I wasn't good enough to sit in her wedding hall. 3 words. That's all it took to erase me from my own family. Not classy enough. That's what my sister Diane told our mother, and our mother repeated it to me like it was nothing. Like it didn't matter that I had raised Diane half the time our parents worked double shifts. Like it didn't matter that I paid for her college textbooks the year our father lost his job. I sat there on my small apartment couch, phone in hand, reading the message over and over. No invitation, no call, just silence, and then that one sentence passed along by my own mother. Just let her enjoy her big day, Claire. Don't make this about you. I wasn't making anything about me. I was trying to understand how the sister I raised could look at me and see someone unworthy of a chair in the back row. But I said nothing. I didn't fight. I didn't beg. I simply let it go quiet. What none of them knew was that quiet doesn't always mean weak. Sometimes quiet means watching. Sometimes quiet means waiting. And on the night of Diane's wedding, while I sat alone with a glass of wine in my hand, the whole world was about to see exactly who was truly classy and who wasn't. To understand the story, you need to understand what it was like growing up in our house. Diane was 3 years younger than me, and from the moment she could talk, she was the center of everything. She was the pretty one, the charming one, the one my mother introduced to guests first. I wasn't jealous, not back then. I just quietly stepped into the role nobody assigned me, the responsible one. When our father lost his job, I picked up shifts at a diner after school so Diane could still take her dance classes. When she failed math in 10th grade, I tutored her every night until midnight. When she went through her first heartbreak, I was the one who sat with her until sunrise. I told myself it didn't matter that nobody thanked me. Family doesn't need thank yous, right? But somewhere along the way, Diane stopped seeing me as her big sister who sacrificed for her. She started seeing me as someone beneath her. Someone who worked a modest job, wore modest clothes, and didn't fit the image she wanted for her new, polished life with her fiancé, Marcus, a man from a wealthy family who never once looked me in the eye at family gatherings. The more Diane climbed into that world of expensive dinners and designer bags, the more distant she became. And when her wedding planning began, I was slowly, quietly edited out of every conversation. I told myself it was a mistake. I told myself she'd come around. She never did. The wedding invitations went out in early spring. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in a decade received gold-lettered envelopes. Neighbors got invitations. Even Marcus's business associates were invited. I got nothing. When I finally asked my mother about it, she looked away before answering. Diane just wants everything to be perfect, she said. She's worried you might stand out. You know how her circle can be. Stand out. That was the polite way of saying I wasn't classy enough. I called Diane directly, my voice shaking as I asked her myself. Her answer was worse than silence. It's not personal, Claire. I just need everyone there to fit the vibe I'm going for. You'll understand one day. I hung up the phone and sat in my kitchen for a long time, staring at nothing. I thought about every birthday I planned for her, every rent payment I helped cover when she was job hunting, every secret I kept when she needed someone she could trust. None of it mattered anymore. To Diane, I had become an embarrassment to hide. So I made a decision. I would not beg for a seat at a table where I wasn't wanted. I would not shrink myself smaller to fit into her perfect picture. I would simply let her have her day, completely, entirely without me. But I couldn't stop the strange, heavy feeling in my chest that told me something about this wedding wasn't right. Something about Marcus. Something about the version of happiness Diane was performing for everyone to see. I just didn't know how right that feeling would turn out to. The night of the wedding arrived. I didn't dress up. I didn't do my hair. I poured a glass of wine, turned on the television, and told myself I would spend the evening thinking about anything but my sister's big, glamorous night. But some part of me couldn't stop checking my phone. Not because I wanted to be there, but because something about Marcus had always unsettled me. He had a way of speaking to Diane in public that seemed loving on the surface, but controlling underneath. Don't drink too much, sweetheart. Let me do the talking. You look better with your hair down, not up. Small comments. The kind people brush off as nothing. I had brushed them off too. Until the week before the wedding, when Diane called me crying, saying she and Marcus had a disagreement and she didn't want to talk about it. I had asked if she was okay. She said she was fine. She said I was overreacting. So that night, sitting alone with my wine, I told myself I was imagining things. I told myself Diane had made her choice, and it wasn't my place to interfere in a life she'd deliberately built without me. I finished my glass of wine around 8 in the evening. At exactly 8:30, my phone began buzzing violently on the coffee table. Call after call. Message after message. My cousin. My aunt. Then my mother, her voice breaking apart the second I answered. "Claire," she said, barely able to speak. "Turn on the news. Please. Turn it on right now." I grabbed the remote with trembling hands and switched to the local news channel. There it was. Live footage, already being replayed over and over. My sister, in her white wedding gown, stumbling backward in front of hundreds of stunned guests as Marcus's hand connected with her face in a moment of sudden, shocking rage. The gasps of the crowd. The scream from someone near the front. Chairs knocked over. Diane's bouquet falling to the floor as guests rushed forward to pull Marcus away from her. The anchor's voice repeated the same words again and again. Groom detained after violent outburst at his own wedding reception. Bride reportedly shaken but uninjured. Witnesses described scene as chaos. I sat frozen on my couch, my wine glass empty beside me, watching my sister's perfect day collapse into a public nightmare broadcast across every channel in the city. And in that moment, a strange, quiet realization settled over me. I wasn't shocked that Marcus had done this. I had felt it coming for months. The controlling comments, the tension in Diane's voice, the way she flinched sometimes when he raised his hand to gesture. What shocked me was that it happened here, in front of everyone, in the one place Diane had spent a year designing to look flawless. She had built an entire wedding around appearances, around looking classy enough, rich enough, perfect enough. And in one single moment, the truth she had been hiding from everyone, including herself, was exposed to the entire world. I didn't feel joy watching it. I felt something heavier. A mix of sadness for my sister and a strange, painful clarity. She hadn't just cut me out of her wedding. She had cut out the one person who might have noticed the danger she was walking into. My mother called again, sobbing, asking me to come to the hospital where Diane had been taken for observation. I could have said no. I could have reminded her that Diane didn't think I was classy enough to witness her big day, so why would she want me now, in her most humiliating moment? But that wasn't who I was. I grabbed my coat and drove straight there, arriving to find my mother pacing the hallway, mascara streaked down her face, and Diane sitting alone in a hospital gown, still wearing broken pieces of her wedding hairstyle, staring blankly at the wall. When she saw me walk in, her face crumbled. "You came," she whispered. "After everything I did, you actually came." I sat beside her and took her hand. "You're my sister," I said quietly. That never stopped being true, no matter what happened between us. She broke down completely then, apologizing through broken sobs, for excluding me, for choosing appearances over truth, for ignoring the warning signs about Marcus because she was too afraid to admit her perfect fairy tale was a lie. I didn't lecture her. I didn't say, "I told you so." I simply held her hand and let her cry, because sometimes the most powerful response to betrayal isn't revenge. It's showing up anyway, when it truly matters. In the weeks that followed, the full truth about Marcus came to light. Former partners came forward. Coworkers described a pattern of controlling, aggressive behavior he had hidden well behind charm and money. Diane realized, with painful clarity, that the life she had been so desperate to protect was never as perfect as she pretended. She ended the engagement completely. The wedding that never truly happened became the turning point that saved her from a lifetime of hiding bruises behind a polished smile. Diane moved in with me for a few months while she rebuilt her life. We talked more in those months than we had in years. She told me she had pushed me away because she was ashamed. Ashamed that despite all her money and status. I told her the truth. I never needed a seat at her wedding to prove I loved her. I only ever wanted her to be safe and happy, genuinely, not just for appearances. Looking back now, I don't feel like I got revenge on my sister. I don't think this story is about revenge at all. It's about what happens when we chase the appearance of perfection instead of the truth of real connection. Diane spent so much energy making sure her wedding looked flawless to strangers that she nearly missed the danger standing right beside her in a tailored suit. And I learned something too, that being excluded doesn't mean being unworthy. Sometimes the people who leave you out are the ones most afraid of what you might see clearly when they can't see it themselves. Today, Diane and I are closer than we've ever been. Not because of some dramatic act of revenge, but because a moment of painful truth stripped away every illusion standing between us. So if someone ever tells you that you're not classy enough, not good enough, not enough for the life they're building, remember this. Sometimes what people call classy is just a mask. And sometimes the ones on the outside see the truth long before the ones standing at the center of it all. If this story moved you, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more real stories of betrayal, truth, and quiet strength.